spontaneity. How do I pronounce that? Spontaneity. Spon. Oftentimes when I don't know what a word is pronounced, I get to look at how it's pronounced and what it even means.
Spontaneity.
Spontaneity. The condition of being spontaneous. Spontaneity.
Spontaneity.
Spontaneity. Spontaneity. And spontaneity of life. Hardly such questions set up a false what does that mean?
Dichotomy.
Dichotomy. A false dichotomy. What does that mean? A dichotomy. A division or contrast between two things that are or represented as being opposed or entirely different. Repeated branching into two. Dichotomy.
It's black!
Seeing that video just unlocked so many memories of being in class in middle school, high school, elementary school, and when the teacher calls on the black kid in the class, hearing them struggle to read a sentence and spending minutes trying to form words while everyone's just sitting there quietly listening to this person stutter and struggle over very basic, like 3-syllable letter words. So I'm not claiming to be the best reader, nor am I claiming to be the best orator, but there should be a standard. And by standard, I mean there's a bar, and whenever one does not reach that bar, I feel like that deserves reprimand. I'm not trying to be an elitist or a snob when I make these videos, but it's just very, very depressing and very sad and just such a turnoff when I see grown men incapable of doing something that I was able to do when I was literally in first grade. Because, for example, right, there was this individual I met rather recently, and we started texting or whatever, and we were like hanging out a lot. And he's like in his 30s, some black guy. And I'm like, so I'm watching this person struggle to spell words and stuff. And I noticed that whenever he texts somebody, he never actually texts them. He just uses the voice to text thing where you just speak into your phone and it just texts for you. He does that a lot. But whenever he spells my name, by the way, he spells it incorrectly. At first I thought he was just joking, but then I noticed he on official documents, he would also spell it incorrectly. And that's when I'm just like, my name isn't hard. My name is literally not hard to spell. Daniel. And it would be like denial. Like he would spell it like DNAIEL. And it's just like, how do you do this? How is this possible? Like, you are in your 30s. You have kids. You got kids, man. But this is what I'm saying. The amount of disappointment, and I'm not even mad. It's just I'm just wow. I am just mind blown at the level of, I don't know if it's low expectations or I don't want to call him stupid, but it's goodness gracious, my man. Anyways, and that's basically kind of what spurred this video on. That was effectively the genesis of what created this video here that you're watching. And I see this so many times, and in the past I created another video. It was something along the lines of why I am hated by my own people, or why I'm hated by my own race. But anyways, one of the points I wanted to get into about this video is the fact that black people seem to be the only quote-unquote race of people who you can get kicked out of being black by just doing certain things or not conforming. You never see white people say to other white people, oh, you live in a trailer park, you have 2 teeth in your head, you talk kind of like this, and then you ain't white. Oh, or Asians or Indians or anything. It's only black people, right? So try hanging out with a bunch of black people and express interest in not hollering at hoes. Say you don't want to run game on women. Hey man, you don't want to holler at these hoes? Shit, you must be gay. You must be gay. You a square. You a lame cut. You such a square cut. And see, and they do that laugh. They do that key laugh where I don't know, like that is not, you do not laugh like that. I refuse to believe it. I refuse to fucking believe it. These people, they live in a way where I just don't think they want to win in life. They really don't. Not only do they not want to win, they don't want to see you win. If you are considered an Uncle Ruckus, a sellout, a race trader, whatever, if they see you winning, all hell is gonna break loose. Believe me. You know, try existing in the black community and not talking with that accent. Try existing in the black community and not liking Kendrick Lamar and not wanting to hear some fucking guy rap about reparations and slavery over a beat for 5 minutes. Try existing in the black community, having a car and not wanting to add a bunch of superfluous nonsense to the exterior of it, or making it sound like it's going to break the sound barrier or something like that. You're not going to have a very fun time, I'll tell you that much. But, oh, here's another thing. Try being in the black community and saying that you don't really care about some 2,000-year-old dead Jew. You know, all hell is going to break loose. The Lord, though. The Lord. Don't you know that Jesus was black? Don't you know that we the real Jews, actually? I bet you didn't know that, did you? We the real Jews, man. Spread the word. Oh, and by the way, never, ever, ever express any interest in dating outside your race or anything like that, or having any sort of sexual relations outside your own race, by the way, because then you'll get these like pro-blacks and these like black Israelites after you. They think you're like a race traitor. They think you're like a race trader. And oh, by the way, that reminds me, quick story time. So a few years ago, I was at this job, and to break down the demographics of this job, I would say it was like 90% Asian, as in like Korean, and 2% white, and the rest were black. So about 8% of the job population was black. And every black person but me was a black Israelite. And see, at the time, I didn't really know what that was. I heard it and I kind of had a very vague sense of what it was. But I knew they were black Israelites because they wore, I don't know what it's called, but they wore these like goofy little tassels at the bottom of their shirts, and they all wore like purple and stuff. And so one of these days, one of them like came up to me and started like talking to me. He was like, oh yeah, he was telling me about like some like trip he went on for, I guess there was some like shooting or some gang shooting and something, and it was like showing support. Him and his like black Israelite group were showing support, right? And just so you know, for reference, like I don't talk to anybody when I'm at a job. I don't really talk to anybody ever in general. All right, like I show up, I do my work, I go home. I don't talk to people, I don't make conversation, I don't chit chat, I don't do small talk. I show up, I do my work and go home. And it's the reason for that is you just can't trust people. You just can't trust anybody. And I've always been like that. Basically, as long as I can remember, like even in school, I wouldn't talk to you unless you talk to me. Unless you like make conversation with me first, I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to stare forward and I'm not going to say a peep. But so he came up to me and was kind of telling me, he was like, yeah, I think it was like, yeah, some gang shooting. And then I was like, okay. And then I started like asking more questions about it. I was like, is this like group you're a part of? Is this like a religious thing? And he was like, yeah, man. And he started telling me about like, I guess like what, like, oh man, we're the real Jews or whatever. And it's like, okay, man. It's like, going on about that. And I'm like, and I'm listening. I'm like, okay. And I do find conversations about theology and spirituality very, very fascinating. So he was going over all the, I guess, rules, I guess we'll call them. And so he was like saying like, yeah, so you into like white girls? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, I guess. And he's like, yeah, man, you can't do that. And it's like, I'm like, really? Why not? And he's like, yeah, because I don't know. He started going on about some like biblical thing about how God created different races or whatever. And hold on, here's another thing about the whole black Christian thing. Like, I'll get to that probably later in this video, but and he started going on about that, and I'm like, oh. And he's like, what, you like the girls with blonde hair? And I'm like, yeah, blonde hair is kind of cute, I guess. Sure, why not? And he's like, yeah, well, there's girls over here, and he started listing off like all the tribes of Israel, I guess, that we are allowed to be with and we are not allowed to be with. And then so I started asking him more about like his like biblical beliefs. And I'm like, so like how like literally do you take this book? And I'm like, so like, do you believe that like, demons and things exist? And he's like, he's like, man, you want to see a demon? And I'm like, sure. And he points through this window towards my manager, my main man, Carl. He's like this middle-aged white guy. And he's like, that right there is a demon. And I'm just like, okay, man, like, so this is why nobody takes you guys seriously. This is why. It's like, okay, like, come on, dude. And he started telling me about like how when Judgment Day comes, like black people are gonna own white people. It's gonna be like the transatlantic slave trade in reverse or something. It's just like a bunch of weird shit. And I'm just like, okay. And I'm like, dude, this is kind of a bit much, right? Like, I'm like, you can't cry about like white people and slavery all day and then want to do the exact same thing back to them. Right? Like, but, oh, and speaking of that, man, I've got a lot to talk about today. So at this other job I was at recently, there was a person who had just moved here from South Africa. He was some white guy who moved here with his wife and kids. And he was telling me about the situation in South Africa, and that shit is insane. So according to him, what's happening there is basically black people have taken over the government and they're creating a bunch of these like race-based laws that are excluding white people from effectively just existing. Like minus the outright like murder of farmers, they are making it so that like excluding you from jobs if you're white, excluding you from certain things. So if you're making a certain amount of money at a job and they deem that to be too much, what they'll do is they'll fire you and will replace you with a black person, regardless of whether or not that black person actually knows how to do the job or not. And so what he was saying is that the country is effectively collapsing because all the people that actually know what they're doing, the white people, are being replaced and either outright just killed or are moving away and being replaced by these black people who don't know what they're doing. And so the whole country's collapsing, nothing's working, whole companies are going bankrupt. It's just like, wow. So I guess that's what these black Israelites want, something akin to that. Maybe, I don't know. If a black Israelite's watching, by all means, enlighten me in the comments of what you guys actually want, what your end goal is here, because I think we're all pretty curious. But yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, moving on. But I guess these kind of people just want to make something like Wakanda a real place, and they think that, man, if we just get together as a community, if we just stick together, if the power of friendship and black love and community will stick together. And you notice with, for example, celebrities, where people will, or black people who are impoverished, who haven't done nothing with their lives, who've, spent the last 40 years of their life fucking off and smoking up dope, having baby mamas and everything else, they'll come crying to the people who didn't do that, who did things the right way, and then they'll be like, what are you going to do for the community? What are you going to do to save us? What are you going to do for this? And why aren't you, or for example, and then they'll proceed to criticize, these celebrities and things for having a white wife, having sex with whatever, and it's, i.e., cough, cough, that like Kendrick guy or whatever. And it's like, it's just, I always find that very, very fucking bizarre. It's like this whole concept of like, oh man, but what about black love though? Don't you care about black love? It's like, no, I don't see this black love anywhere. Hold on, that actually reminds me. Let me see if I can find this text real quick. So I can't put the text on screen since it's from Snapchat or whatever, and I'm not going to screenshot it, but I'll just read it out. So this individual, he works with me, or he worked with me, and this is the story of black love. So he sent the text, appreciate it. We're going to call his girl Tanisha. Tanisha is in jail for punching, biting, and breaking stuff in my home. This has been going on for 3 months. I asked her to leave 3 months ago, and she's been squatting. I tried to be cordial since the cop says she has the right to be here because we're dating. She's been staying here, paying no bills, refusing to clean anything. So yeah, I guess that's black love for you guys. So anyways, moving on. So I wanted to get into 3 things that'll help you to survive the black community. Number 1, never turn your back on blacks. You never know when one of these things are going to want to play the knockout game with you, or want to rob you, or clown you, or do any kind of weird thing like that. So you always want to have them in view. And this is just good life advice in general, is just be aware of yourself. Be aware of your surroundings. Be spatially aware of who's around you. If you're in a room, always know who's in there with you. Right? But especially if you're around black people, because you never know what's going to go down. Number 2, if they look like they're up to something, they are. You can never give these people the benefit of the doubt. Never give any of these N-words the benefit of the doubt, ever. Especially if they're women, always assume the worst. And by the way, guys, I'm not going too hard in this video. Like, I'm kind of scared of getting banned for saying my true opinions, but maybe next video I'll go fully mask off. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if that's what you want. So number 3 is beware the evil eye. And what I mean by that, it comes from a spiritual concept, but what I mean by that is basically be very careful of what you present to the world, what you present to these people. Because if they feel like you have something that they want, you're going to be robbed. You're going to be shot for it. For example, like these people, they talk about reparations. Man, where my reparations at? They always talk about that. They're always like, they're always asking for free handouts from people that they claim that they hate. Man, these white people are always ruining shit. But then, in 2 seconds later, it'll be like, hey, where's my free handout, huh? Gimme. Right? But let's just pretend, for example, that reparations were given tomorrow. Well, that shit's going to be spent up by a majority of these people. And then what's going to happen afterwards is just going to be a free-for-all. We are going to see crime skyrocket. Like murders in the street. We're going to be like blatant robberies, because guess what? At this point, they will know what you have. They'll look at you and say, hey, I know you got a check, nigga. Hey, cuh, where that check at, cuh? Where that reparations check at? After, they spent theirs on, the weed dispensary shop, or going to the club or whatever, or buying, rims for their shitty little fucking 4-cylinder car. They're gonna, they smoke up all the smoke, they drink up all the drink, and then they're gonna be looking at you, knowing that you have it. So never tell these people what you have. Never let them in on what you know. Never do anything like that. Right? Because they're just going to take it. If they know you have it, they're going to take it. But yeah, anyways, I guess that's it for the video. Goodbye.